Welcome to the Madison Motor Podcast special edition show where I preview the 2023-24 Premier League, which all begins on Friday, August 11th. It's going to be a lot of fun. I have my predicted standings in front of me, and so that will be as follows. So if you place first through fourth, you qualify for the Champions League pitch or phrase, or just the Champions League phase. If you come in fifth, you qualify for the Europa League group stage. And then if you finish 6th through 17th, you just stay in the Premier League. And then if you finish in the bottom three, that's where you don't want to be, 18th, 19th, and 20th, you get relegated to the EFL Championship. So it is going to be interesting. And obviously, the Europa League, if you win the Europa League, then you go to the you qualify for the UEFA Champions League. So yeah, if you win that tournament, you automatically qualify for UEFA, and then you earn the right to play against the winners of the 2023 Champions League in the Super Cup. So there's a lot of ramifications for Europa League, but we'll get into that when we get there. All right. Coming in first place in the Premier League this season, I am going with the team that I feel has the most loaded roster from top to bottom, and that is Liverpool FC. They have a big transfer coming in, Alexis McAllister coming over from Brighton and Hove. They do lose some key players, but they do have a very, very loaded team as they have Mohamed Salah, Darwin Nunez, and they did lose Roberto Firmino, which is a big loss, but Cody Gakpo is still there, as is Diogo Jota, and Andrew Robertson is still on the team too. So Liverpool is absolutely loaded, and they deserve to be my pick. In second place, I have Man City. And by the way, Liverpool last season came in fifth in the Premier League. And then they won the FA Community Shield. They were fourth round in the FA Cup and the EFL Cup. They made the fourth round as well. So, in second place, as I mentioned earlier, I have Man City. I think that Man City is poised for a big season. They won the league last year, but I think they come in second to Liverpool this year. They won UEFA last year. They were the runners-up in Community Shield, and then they were in the quarterfinals of EFL. In terms of transfers, they get a Mateo Kovacic from Chelsea, and Josko Gvardiol from RB Leipzig. They don't have any loans in, and this team, like I said, is very loaded. And They still got Erling Haaland, who's amazing. They still have Julian Alvarez, who's really good. They do lose Riyad Mahrez to the Saudi League, which is a big blow. And they still have Phil Foden in the fold as well. But they do lose Ilkay Gundogan to Barcelona, and that is a big loss. But I do think Man City is going to make up for that, and those losses are why I have them finishing in second place this year. In third in the Premier League, I have Arsenal. I think Arsenal is poised for a big season. They came in second in the Premier League last year. They made the fourth round of the FA Cup, EFL Cup. They made the third round, and in the Europa League, they made the round of 16. So I think they finished one spot below where they were. I just think that Liverpool is going to be big this year, and I have them ahead of Arsenal and Man City for the reasons I mentioned earlier in the show. So in terms of transfers, I'm trying to find their transfer list. They get Kai Havertz from Chelsea, Jurrien Timber from Ajax, and Declan Rice from West Ham. No loans in. And then other things of note, they have Bukayo Saka still in the fold. They have Martin Odegaard still in the fold. Gabriel Martinelli still there. Gabriel Jesus is still there. Eddie Nikita's still there. And they did lose Grant Xhaka as he went to Bayer Leverkusen of Bundesliga. So they do lose him. But I do think that this Arsenal team is really, really loaded, and they will come in third. All right. Fourth, I have Chelsea. I think that Chelsea will still be relevant. Last season, they came in 12th in the Premier League. I think they will be better than 12th. I think they take a big step up. They made the third round in the FA Cup as well as the EFL Cup, and UEFA, they made the quarterfinals. So they kind of fell to 12th. And that's just bizarre that they made UEFA of last year. So they kind of had a disappointing year in general last year, despite being in UEFA and everything. But I do think that they'll be better in Premier League this year. They do get some big transfers in. Nicholas Jackson of Villarreal's a big one. Christopher Nkunku of RB Leipzig. Diego Moreno of Benfica. Robert Sanchez, the goalkeeper of Brighton and Hove. And then they have DeJuan Richards from Phoenix Academy and Ishay Samuel Smith of Everton. Those are academy ones, those two. And then they do not have any loans in. And then a big loss for them is Kai Havertz, who went to Arsenal, who we talked about earlier. Raheem Sterling's still there. Joao Felix went to La Liga. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang went to League One. So there's some big losses. Mason Mount went to Man United. Conor Gallagher's still there. But I think Chelsea will be okay. Raheem Sterling's still there as well, but I just think Chelsea just bounces back in a big way from last season's disappointment. Fifth, I'm going to go with Newcastle. Newcastle is in a good spot, so I have them obviously qualifying for Europa. Last season, they came in fourth in the Premier League, third round in FA Cup, and the runners-up in the EFL Cup. Callum Wilson's back, their lead goal scorer. Couple big transfers coming in, including Harvey Barnes of Leicester. And we talked about Callum Wilson and the fact that he is back. And they also have Miguel Almiron back, as well as Alexander Isak. So Newcastle, I feel, is in pretty good shape. Coming in sixth, I have Tottenham. Tottenham, they have some key guys coming back for their team, of course, led by Mr. Harry Kane, who I think is a terrific soccer player. They have some good transfers coming in. Dejan Kulusevski of Juventus, James Maddison of Leicester, Ashley Phillips of Blackburn. A transfer out that's notable is Harry Winks. He's going to Leicester. So I wonder if that was a trade with James Maddison in there. And then other notable players for Tottenham. Son Heung-min and Rodrigo Bentancur are still around for Tottenham as well. Coming in seventh, I have Brighton and Hove. Brighton and Hove, deep team. We talked about the loss of Alexis McAllister, which is huge. They have some transfers coming in that I like. But other guys that will be back for them is Evan Ferguson and Pascal Grobe, and Koro Mitoma is back. Solly Mark and Dennis Udov is back as well. So it's not a bad team per se. Coming in eighth, I have Everton. I like the transfers and loan guys that they have. I think Everton is a deep team. By the way, Newcastle last year, I don't think I got where they finished last year. Fourth in the Premier League, third in the FA, and runners-up of EFL. And then, like I said, in eighth, I have Everton. Everton's an interesting team. Came in 17th in the Premier League last year. I think that they make a jump. Third round of EFL and FA Cups. Dwight McNeil's still on the team. And like I said, I do like some of the transfers and loan-ins they have. Arnaud Danjuma of Villarreal is a loan-in. He'll be there till the end of the season. Ashley Young of Aston Villa and Youssef Chermiti of Sporting CP are the transfers in for Everton for this season. In ninth, I have Man United. I think Man United is a disappointment flop in the making. They're like the Yankees of soccer. Well, I think they're going to be like the Yankees of soccer, the Premier League this year. A good Yankees comp for this year is Chelsea of last year in a weird way. But Man United FC, I think, is going to be like disappointing, like how the Yankees and the Mets are this year in baseball. But they do have some interesting transfers coming in. Mason Mount, Johnny Evans of Chelsea, and then an unattached, respectively. The goalkeeper, Andre Onana of Inter Milan and Rasmus Højlund of Atalanta. And by the way, last year, Man United, third in the Premier League. They were the runners-up of the FA Cup and the EFL winners, and they made the quarterfinals of Europa. I just don't like their roster. And they've had so many losses, but they still have Marcus Rashford, which is good. They still have Bruno Fernandes. Casemiro's still there. Fred's still there. Anthony Martel's still there. But I just don't think this team is very deep. And they do have some notable losses in there as well. So I think Man United's a flop this year. Sorry, guys. 10th, I have Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest, I think there's a possibility they finish higher than where I have them. I'm telling you right now, the Chris Wood ad is humongous. I know he was on the loan last season, but I really think that he's poised to be very impactful in Nottingham Forest this season. Anthony Alagna, Ola Aina, and Manny Norquette are among other transfers in. Nobody's loaned in. Last year, they came in 16th in the Premier League. I think they jumped third round in the FA Cup and made the semis in the EFL Cup. And then Taiwo Awoniyi is still there. And obviously, Brennan Johnson and Morgan Gibbs-White is still around as well. In 11th, I have Luton. I think Luton is going to be a big surprise in the Premier League this year. They have some nice transfers coming in. Marvelous Nakamba of Aston Villa. Tahith Chong of Birmingham City. The goalkeeper Thomas Kaminski from Blackburn. And then loaned in, they have Issa Kabore of Man City until the end of the year. So that is pretty exciting as well. So last year in the EFL Championship, they came in third. They won the playoffs, so they earned their way to the league. The FA Cup, they came in fourth, and then they lost in the first round in the EFL Cup last year. Carlton Morris is still around. He is the leader on this team. He is really an outstanding goal scorer. Elijah Adebayo is still around as well. Tom Lockyer, good player. This team's not deep, but obviously Morris is a big part of this team, and I think that they will surprise some people in the league this year. 12th, I have Brentford. Brentford is a team that has kept some notable players that really are relevant to them. Transfers, they have a couple of note. Romeo Beckham comes over from the second Inter Miami squad. Nathan Collins from Wolverhampton. SC Freiburg's Mark Flecken comes in. They have a lot of transfers out, which isn't great for the team. But in terms of notable returnees, none bigger than Mr. Ivan Toney, who is a monster for them. And they have Brian Mbeumo still around as well. In 13th, I have Fulham. Fulham is a team that doesn't have any losses of significance. They have coming in Chris Donald of Perth Glory, Calvin Bassley of Ajax, and Raul Jimenez of Wolverhampton. Last year, they came in 10th in the Premier League. Quarterfinals in the FA Cup and in the EFL Cup. They lost in the second round. They have Alexander Mitrovic back, obviously. He's the best player on the team. And then the rest of the team is just sporadic. So Mitrovic, obviously, is the most important player on Fulham. 14th, I have West Ham. Most of their roster has stayed intact, which is good for them. But there are some losses that are of note. Obviously, they have Sean Moore coming in from Cliftonville. That's the only transfer they have coming in. Last year, 14th in the Premier League. 5th round the FA Cup, 3rd round of the EFL Cup. And then the Conference League, they won the Conference League. So that is really good for them. And then they have their guy, Mikel Antonio, coming back. And then, obviously, Saint Bernama is back as well. Jared Bowen. And obviously, their big loss was Gianluca Scamacca as he went to Atalanta in Italian Serie A. 15th, I have Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace. They're an interesting squad coming in here. Last year, they came in the 11th in the Premier League, lost in the third round each in the EFL and the FA Cups. Coming in, they have 2 guys from Bournemouth coming in, including Jefferson Lerma. And nobody's loaned in. And then in terms of guys of note, Eberike Eze is still there. Their big loss was Wilfred Zaha, as he is now in the Super League. Galatasaray, so that's their big loss. And then they still have Ostane Edouard, which is good for their sake as well. 16th, I have Sheffield United. Sheffield United is an interesting story. They came over from the English League. They came in second and got promoted. They made the semifinals of the FA Cup and lost in the first round of the EFL Cup. In terms of transfers, the big one is Austin Trusty of Arsenal. And then they have Yasser Larouki of Troyes loaned until the end of the season. And then in terms of notable players, they did lose Iliman Ndiaye to League One, which is not great. They still have Oliver McBurney. James McAtee went to Man City, as we alluded to earlier. And then they still have Sander Berge, which is good for them as well. So Ndiaye and McAtee are the big losses there. 17th, I have Wolverhampton. So I have Wolverhampton surviving here and staying in the Premier League. In terms of transfers, they have Matthias Cunha of Atletico Madrid coming in, as well as Matt Doherty of Atletico Madrid. Nobody's loaned in. Last season, they came in 13th in the Premier League. FA Cup third round, lost the quarters in the EFL. So I've been going from 13th to 17th. And then, in terms of notable players, they really aren't deep. They did lose Ruben Neves to the Saudi Pro League, which isn't good. And they still have Daniel Pondens, which is good for them. I guess that will save them from being the bottom. All right. 18th, I have AFC Bournemouth. I have them dropping to the English League. So transfers in, they have Romain Favre of Lyon and Justin Kluivert of Roma. Loaned in Ionut Radu of Inter Milan until the end of the year. So last season, 15th in the Premier League, lost in the third round of the FA Cup, lost in the fourth round of the EFL Cup. Philip Billing is still there. And Dominic Solanke is still around as well. Coming in 19th, I have Burnley FC. Burnley FC, I have dropping leagues as well. They're a team that has some random transfers coming in. They have a goalkeeper, James Trafford, coming in from Man City, which is good. Vasile Riano of Crystal Palace. Michael Obafemi of Swansea City. Darrow Shea of West Bromwich. So they have some interesting transfers coming in. And then they have Jacob Brun Larson loaned in from 1899 Hoffenheim until the end of the season. Last year, they got promoted in by winning the Championship League. And they made the quarterfinals of the FA Cup and lost in the fourth round of the EFL Cup. And then they did lose Nathan Tella to Southampton, which was a big loss for them. Manuel Benson still there. Anas Zawouri still there. Jade Rodriguez still there. So they still are deep, but I think they drop back to the championship. And then, and last, I have Aston Villa. Aston Villa, I feel bad for Aston Villa. Last year came in 7th, lost in the third round of each of the FA Cup and the EFL. Ollie Watkins is still there. I think Aston Villa takes a big step back. I think this is a flop in the making too. A couple of transfers in. Yuri Tillmans of Leicester City. Pau Torres of Villarreal. No loaned in. And then, in terms of depth, they really don't have much behind Ollie Watkins. They have Douglas Luiz. They lost Danny Ings to West Ham. Big loss. Jacob Ramsey they still have. Leon Bailey's still there. Emiliano Buendia they still have as well. So I might come to regret that one with Aston Villa. So again, Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea into the UEFA. And then obviously I have Newcastle in the Europa League, and then relegating back to the EFL Championship, Bournemouth, Burnley, and Aston Villa. Alrighty, so there you have it for my 2023-24 EPL season predictions. Next up, we'll do another one tomorrow. Maybe it's German Bundesliga, maybe it's La Liga, maybe it's French League. You'll have to wait and see. Have a great day, everyone.